thank you so much for being here today on the income stream, day 59 straight, 1 hour every day. Thank you for joining me and helping me help you. And today's Friday, which means it's Casual Friday, Free for All Friday. We're going to have some fun Friday here on the income stream. Welcome in, and again, thanks for being here.
This is the income stream to help you achieve your dream, all while we keep it clean. This is the income stream. It's the kind of show where you can come and go, but then you leave inspired with no fee required. The income stream with Pat Flynn.
Today we got the wheel. We're gonna spin to win with Flynn. So let's get it in. We're not gonna spin it right away. I need to go over some of these things. You've seen these before if you've been here, but if it's your first time, thank you so much. And yes, we're doing a Hakuna Matata. Wow, glitch in the Matrix. Hakuna Matata. It means no worries for the rest of your days. That's right. Anyway, today's Friday. We don't have an agenda other than let's have some fun. Let's give away some prizes. Let's answer some questions. Let's maybe do some YouTube question reviews, some website reviews, YouTube channel reviews, a giveaway. I'm giving away signed copies of my book, Superfans. I'm going to offer you some tips. We might do story time, maybe some stupid human tricks, viewer's choice, which means I'm going to select somebody at random and you tell me what to do, as long as it's kid-friendly. WYR, which is Would You Rather. We're going to go to a website that has some really interesting questions that we can all play along together on, and we're going to have some fun. So there we go. It looks like buffering. Are we good? How are we doing? Okay, give me 1 sec. I'm gonna fix that. Okay, so BNS Goku has a question. Let's just start off with a few questions here and welcome a few people in. We got BNS Goku in the house. What's up, BNS? So here's his question. Where did it go? So I'm willing to spend $1,000 on ads. How to best use that? Quite honestly, today, I think the best way to use it would be to spend it on podcast ads, in fact. So getting on another person's show, being able to allow yourself to share your voice if that's possible. Not always possible, but that could be an option, as well as some, I know you're on YouTube, so maybe some YouTube advertising as well, directly to a person who has authority, a person who has trust with an audience already, who's able to share, hey, go here or go check out this person, and they're gonna be more likely to do that than one of those ads that shows up before a video or in the middle of the video. In all honesty, my answer in a normal scenario would have been something like, hey, thank you, Martin, for the $2 donation. I appreciate that, the dono. In a environment, I would have said, take that $1,000 and see how you might be able to go to conferences, right? Travel, get yourself in front of and with other people who are in your space in a live setting. Because you can build some really amazing relationships with people there who are serious about that particular space, who are willing to meet other people. And all my best connections have come as a result of going to live conferences and meeting people. Obviously not possible right now, but that's what I would recommend. If you do have some money to drop, I would drop it on experiences, on relationships, not necessarily, Facebook ads. Now, if I did have a promotion coming up, and I knew, and I could create a campaign such that for every $1 I spent, I would get $2 back, right? Well, then I would put, however much money I could into that. Now, I'm not so proficient at Facebook ads or YouTube ads or things like that, where you have to create copy, you have to capture people's attention in a more interruptive sort of fashion, but it can be done very well. There's a lot of experts out there who can do that for you. I'd recommend Flourish with Monica, who is a student of mine. She helps people with Facebook ads. And there's obviously a lot of people out there who teach this both for free or who can help manage your campaigns for you. But check out Flourish with Monica. And there's also Rick Mulready and Amy Porterfield and all the sort of traditional people who have spoken about those kinds of things for a long time too. Joanna says, problem-free philosophy. That's right. Happy Friday, says Lori. Thank you so much, Lori, for being here. Sounds like me. Pacific, Michael. Wheel of Fun, says Scooby Life. Welcome in. Thanks so much. Spin the wheel, says Franco. Let's do it. Story time. Let's do it. So story. I have been on the news a couple times before. If you were on the channel yesterday, you saw me share a little news clip from KTLA. And I remember the first time I was on the news, it was Fox News. They actually came over to my house. It wasn't the house I'm in now, it was the house I was in before. So this was circa 2011, 2012. And it was a really interesting segment. It was like 4 minutes in length. The one from yesterday was about a minute or two. Actually, I think it was like 3 minutes. But it was like they came over to my house. They crafted this whole thing. I didn't come on as a guest, but I came on as like a, they were just featuring me in my home. And it started off, it didn't go very well right away, because although when this person came over to the house, like everything seemed fine, this person positioned me in a way where it seemed like I got fired, right? Versus getting laid off. There's a big difference between getting fired and getting laid off. So it made it seem like I'd done something wrong in my job or had gotten kicked out because of something that I did incorrectly. And it to me, it almost positioned me as somebody who was a rebel, right? And I'm a rebel entrepreneur. I started my own thing. I got kicked out. I was always this person who hated my job, and that was not the case. In fact, and that's how the segment started, right? Like Pat Flynn was fired, and I can't even remember. Like it wasn't the best of experiences, but it was cool to see myself on the news. And after that, like the interview and the rest of it went well. And yeah, so there's a big difference, and that made me always remember to go, okay, I was laid off, not fired. Still, you can create something amazing after getting fired. It just positioned me in a very interesting sort of way. Any news of Quaranteam t-shirts? No news yet, Martin, but that's something that I would love to sort of talk about with other people, maybe off the call, to see what we can do to feature some of your special designs here. And I would love to wear those shirts for sure, especially if they're designed by the community here, which is really cool. So anyway, that was a weird story. Xenia and Vlada got fired. Yeah, and getting fired is not bad. It's just a circumstance where, well, hey, it wasn't going to work out then, versus being let go, which was, well, it didn't work out because of economical reasons, or it just didn't make sense anymore for the business to keep going. BNS Goku, thank you so much for the donation. I appreciate that. By the way, we are donating to this month and for the rest of the month, the Project Cure. Project Cure is an organization that helps those who are in the medical field right now. Decided to take these donations. Thank you for them, by the way. They're not required. At Reef, thank you so much for that donation as well. But would love to pass that on to those who are in need right now. Last month, we donated over 6,000 meals to those in need here in San Diego. And this month, we're donating to the medical field, who definitely deserves it and more for sure. Okay, let's go. I wasn't quite ready for story time right away. I had to come up with something. Random fact. Okay, random fact about me. When I was a kid, I was very much a hopeless romantic. If you've heard a story from, I don't know, day 40 or so, I told a story about how I broke my arm, right? Where I was trying to impress this girl. This was in 2nd grade, to do a flip on the monkey bars, to try to go all the way around the monkey bars. I didn't know physics. I didn't know that wasn't possible. And I fell, broke my arm, and the girl who I was trying to impress, her dad was my doctor who put my arm back together, essentially. That's not what I want to talk about. I want to talk about the fact that I remember in 3rd grade, I moved to San Diego from Connecticut, and I found a new girl, and her name was Dana. And in fact, I really loved her so much when I was a kid that I ended up making her a bracelet. And it was one of those ones that's made of beads and fishing string with a little clip that you put together. And I made it for her, and I gave it to her. And she said, "Oh, thank you so much. I like it a lot." She just stuffed it in her backpack. She just put it in her back. She didn't even put it on. She put it in her backpack. That's when I knew that relationships were hard. You can't just go to somebody and give them a gift and expect something in return. So when it comes to your business, a lot of times we try to build relationships with other people in the space that we're in, and we think that, well, just giving them a gift is something that's going to help us get their attention and perhaps start a relationship together. And that's not the case. It's more than gifting. It's the thoughtfulness. I didn't know that she didn't like bracelets, and I didn't even know really much about her. Just she had a pretty face, right? Don't just reach out to people because they have a pretty face or a large email list or a big following. reach out to people because there could be a real connection there and you guys can help each other out and build something great together. Bruh. The other part of the story, oh God. Dana, by the way, they had put new concrete in our little courtyard area where I was living. There was like a carport. And so they put new asphalt and it was wet. And so when the asphalt was wet, I drew a giant heart in the asphalt. And I put DB for Dana and her last name, plus PF, Pat Flynn. An hour later, I get a knock on the door. And I think by this time I'm in 4th or 5th grade. Like this love was real. The security guard from the complex that we were living in came over and said, hey, we need to talk to you about your driveway. And I got grounded because of that. Okay, let's spin the wheel. Wow. Didn't know the day was going to start off like this, y'all. YouTube channel review. Cool. We're going to do a YouTube channel review. I did see a couple things come in. We did see a super chat come in from Brant. You can't light another's path without lighting your own. Thanks, Pat, for your light. Thank you, Brant. I appreciate you. That is amazing. We also have a super chat here from Permanic. What's up, Permanic? Thank you so much. Dear Pat, my tiny little contribution to the Real Heroes. Thank you for providing this platform. Included you in my daily prayers. Thank you so much. I appreciate you for that. Let's see. We want to do a YouTube channel review. So who wants to get their channel reviewed? Let me know. And somebody says, that's how you get a red butt, says Chris. No comment on that. Is this a random fact or story time? It was a random fact and story time. Random fact, I was a hopeless romantic. All right, cool. Okay, so who wants a YouTube channel review? We're going to go and just dive into that right now. Aaron, we got you. Aaron Waller. Let's go into it. So we're going to go to youtube.com. And I'm going to go to Aaron Waller. And there we go. All right, so here we are. Aaron Waller, movies, TV, streaming, games, and more. Not a terrible way to start. We got a really nice looking, very nicely designed header, which is really important. We have a little bit of knowledge about what it is that we're going to get here. Movies, TV, streaming, games, and more. Is it play along and watch with you? Is it reviews about these things? I think one level further in terms of, okay, well, what about movies? What about TV? Are you reviewing these things? Are you commenting on latest sort of developments or news within those realms, right? That would be interesting. But let's go to, let's see, your channel uploads, created playlists, popular uploads. I think we can go a little bit further here on the homepage. This isn't bad because you don't just have like your latest uploads and that's it, but you have some sort of playlists and whatnot. You can take these playlists and actually expand them and turn them into clickable videos within the playlist here on the home part of your page. What you could also do to help clarify what your page is about, Aaron, and I like this image here. Like this is a good feeling picture of you where I'm like, okay, cool. Like I can get a sense of who you are, and you have the green screen behind you, almost like very much TV and movies, right? So that's pretty cool. The thumbnails look really great. I am very impressed by the thumbnails. No comments there. That's actually one of the better thumbnails that we've seen related to each of these videos. So what I would recommend, let's see here. How are the titles? Let's see, Kowalski Mystery Solved, Everything Sucks Season 1 review. So you're doing reviews, which is cool. And look at that, you're getting some good viewership there. Let's actually, this isn't bad in terms of the channel itself. Let's go into some of these videos and see what we can do to help the video stand out. So Justice League Dark Apocalypse War review. Okay, so reviews, great. See, reviews could lend itself up here. Now, what I'm looking for is how are these reviews going to stand out from other people who are doing reviews too? I want to see your personality in these, hopefully. I want to see maybe some really deep analysis. Now, we're not going to watch an entire video, right? But I think this will be interesting. So let's go here.
Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking about the big finale, the ending of the DCAU as we know it, and that is Justice League Dark Apocalypse War. Now I'm going to do my best to...
Okay, so number one, you told me what it's about right away, which is good, but You didn't hook me in. You just told me what you were going to talk about. I think some interesting insight up front from you without revealing anything would be really, really interesting. So for example, maybe you have 3 pros and 3 cons, or 3 good things, 3 not so good things. Maybe you have one big realization that actually was really surprising or unexpected, and you mention that up front, but you don't reveal what it is. Again, you're creating sort of an open loop here, right? What would be something that you could share up front that could hook people in for later? I like the setup here, good vibe. I like the screen in the background, the little pop Funko dolls. That's really cool. Your positioning is good. The lighting is pretty good. The audio, let me listen to the audio one more time. Put the headphones on here just to get a sense. I wasn't listening for quality, but your channel is doing pretty good in terms of what I've seen so far. So let's click play on this one more time.
To keep this as spoiler-free as humanly possible, but there are maybe some things that I might let slip. I may do another video talking about spoilers later because this was such an event type of film.
Okay, so the other thing I would comment on is you could potentially take some clips from any sort of clips that are already out there related to this film and put them on your stuff here to add a little bit more sort of color commentary on top of your voices, right? So this is called fair use. Being able to, without degrading the film, degrading the game, you can show clips from it, right? This is very, very popular to do, and it's totally okay as long as it's within fair use. In fact, I would recommend watching this video from Tim Schmoyer, because what you could do, YouTube is finally defending fair use. Fair use of copyrighted works may be easier on YouTube. These are, those aren't quite up to date. How to avoid copyright issues. These are still very, very relevant, however. And what I'm talking about is the ability to use just clips from
quite honestly,
the video. Let's see. There's like, let's see, solve the money problem. This person, Steven is his name. He shares his entire video is clips from things related to Elon Musk and Tesla and stuff too, which is pretty cool. So let's see if I can click on this so you can get an example.
Deleting complexity is an endless task. This optimization isn't just at the level of, say, battery technology or materials. At every level, from corporate structure to production line optimization, Tesla is relentless in its pursuit of finding new efficiencies.
So you see how we hadn't seen his face, but we're getting a lot of different things that pop up on the screen, which create what's called pattern interrupts. Visualizations, things that get us even more connected to the thing and the subject that is being spoken about. So yeah, just wanted to share that with you. And that's, first of all, just keep going. Keep trying to remain consistent. I think the last thing that I want to check is how often you've been creating videos, because that consistency is key. For sure, especially when you're just starting out on YouTube. So 1 day ago, 1 week ago, 1 week ago, 2, 3. Okay, cool. You are remaining consistent. And again, this is not bad at all. Just keep going. And let's see if any of these have popped lately. Birds of Prey review. Right? I think we can add some sort of interest, curiosity-driven, click-based title, right? Birds of Prey review. Not what I thought, or something like that, right? Another example that could be good to go to, MKBHD. So this is a tech review channel, right? What's up, Hey Archer? Thanks for being here. So as you can see here, and I'm going to try and scroll down. Let's see. So iPhone SE 2020 review, and then a little bit of commentary. It all adds up. Like, what all adds up? I need to click on that to know what's going on. OnePlus 8 review, special no more. Apple Magic Keyboard, floating iPad Pro. So he has like a little bit of commentary there with just 2 or 3 words that make you want to go, well, what does he mean by that? Or I need to click on that. We could do that beyond just the review of this, maybe a little bit of commentary at the end to add a little bit more to you. A more uniqueness could go a long way. So hopefully that's helpful. Thank you so much, and keep up the good work. Let's go. All right, question. So if you have a question, pop it in the chat. Make sure you use in all caps the word question to start out so I can easily find them. I'm gonna go see if there's a question that had come in earlier that I can answer in the meantime. So 2 questions, and I'm gonna answer a few more. Number 1, how do you choose which events to attend when they are back up and running? Number 2, how to spot the fake gurus and not get scammed. Thanks, Pat Flynn. So we're talking about the question earlier about, well, what do we want to spend money on? And I mentioned, going to events. So when we are allowed to go to events again, which ones to go to? So there's a couple ways to go about approaching which events to go to. Number one is to look at the lineup of who else is going to be at that event. In particular, who are the speakers? Because the events aren't just for networking, they're for getting information. And if there is information that's relevant to you, it's likely relevant to other people in your space too, whether they are a speaker or not. So always looking at the lineup of speakers and the topics to make sure that if I didn't even speak to anybody there, which would be a failed conference experience, but if I didn't even speak to anybody, am I still able to get value from the stage work, from people who are presenting about certain topics? That's really key. And again, because if the topics are relevant, then that's going to attract the same sorts of people who would be great people to potentially connect with. Number two, if there's anything specific to your industry, definitely check those out and ask around to see who else has been to those events and what they think and if it's worth it or not. I think it's hard to get a sense and a vibe of what an event is like without having gone there first, right? So I think speaking to others, perhaps people in your space who you already are connected with online, to see where else they're going. And that's also a really great thing to do. And the sort of the second approach is to ask other people in your space where else they're going, so that you at least know some people and you can even sort of hook up while you're there to have some coffee, plan to have a lunch together. That's something that a lot of people who are traveling to events will want, because they want to have that sort of known planned thing while they're there amongst all the unknown and unplanned that's happening too. Number three, I would definitely recommend potentially seeing, well, if you could speak at an event, which event would you speak at? So a totally different approach, but even though you're maybe not a speaker or might even never get on stage, if you could imagine getting in front of that audience that would be relevant for you, well, where would that be? Because where that audience is, there would be an attraction to other people who are also speakers in your realm too. So that's how I would approach it. And in fact, just asking around could be really great to understand, well, which ones are good and which ones are not so good. And number two, when it comes to fake gurus, for example, taking what you see here on YouTube for face value is difficult sometimes, because it's, doctored, it's edited, and people script things out, and people who have a lot of money have the ability to make things look much better than they may seem, and it's very easy to be fake in person, online. But in real life, it's a lot easier to spot those kinds of people. So, when it comes to going to real life events and spotting the fake gurus, I think it's just a sense of, putting your radar on and asking around, and potentially just trying to make, have a relationship with somebody and reach out to them and perhaps have a coffee and just kind of get a sense. I mean, I think it's very simple once you are in that environment to see who is legit and who is not legit. And there's people in my experience who I've been at with conferences who you just, you think they're one way and they're completely different online and offline, and that's not cool. It's the people who I enjoy following online, who when I meet them in person or see them behave in person, I can get a sense that, well, they're exactly the same kind of person, which is really cool. And I'm very thankful that when I go to events, people often say that, well, hey, you're just like you are online. And that's something that people want, because obviously we don't want to be duped or faked. Cool. We were going to answer a couple more questions that came in. So, question, when launching online courses, YouTube ads needed? At Pat Flynn. I've never used a YouTube ad to launch a course, although I have seen a lot of people do it and do it very, very well. In fact, YouTube ads can be very profitable and some of the lowest cost ads that you could spend money on. A lot of it is because a lot of people who do advertising don't have the resources or aren't even exploring YouTube. It's mostly Facebook and Instagram right now that's going around for ads for launches and courses and such, and retargeting and whatnot. And YouTube's a little bit different. It's not on the YouTube platform itself. It's through Google AdWords, because Google owns YouTube, and that's how ads are run and videos are displayed as ads on YouTube. You still put it on YouTube, but then you run it as an ad through Google AdWords. So it's a little bit more difficult. There are some really amazing people out there who are good at it that I'd recommend you check out. For example, Tom Breeze. If you look up Tom Breeze here on YouTube and Tom Breeze YouTube ads, you'll see a lot of great information from him about how to run those. But it's worth experimenting with. I think any platform where you can get in front of an audience where you know that your product would be relevant for them would be interesting and worth checking out for sure. So it is something that we are potentially going to explore in the future, but for right now, we haven't run, I have not personally run YouTube ads to launch courses, but it can work out really well, especially if your audience is on YouTube and you have sort of a presence that other people in your space potentially aren't used to seeing or can't do themselves. And Mike, I know you have this channel with the kids and all that stuff, which is pretty cool. So you definitely have the capability to create ads. It's just really about capturing that attention, right? You think of ads that, what ads are memorable, right? It's the ones where you capture people's attention and it sort of stands out and it's different. I'm thinking of, even though I don't follow these people, Ty Lopez, he's in his garage with his Lamborghinis. That holds people's attention. Now, it was for a different reason, and I'm sure that you wouldn't probably tout mansions and Lamborghinis when trying to teach kids English as a second language. Although, you need something to sort of capture people's attention. There's also a person named Billy Gene, Gene, who has really great YouTube ads. He's another person who I'd follow for genius sort of ads, but a lot of people don't like his style, but hey, it captures your attention and his ads perform really, really well. Rhino Dog says, conference can be such a great resource of networking and making lifelong connections. Absolutely. That's how Chris Ducker and I became best friends, was actually through a conference, 2010 at the Mandalay Hotel, Mandalay Bay. We met each other, had lunch, talked about having Filipino wives and having kids around the same age, and boom, we were lifelong friends. My app says, question, as a homeschooling parent during lockdown, how are you keeping your kids' activities organized? Well, I definitely have to credit my wife for that. I'm here in the office doing a lot of work-related things. She's in there doing a lot more harder work, keeping the kids in check with school-related stuff. Now, thankfully, the school that we're in is very organized and is also tech-heavy. So the kids are very used to learning on their iPads and being on Zoom calls and such already. So that wasn't much of a struggle. Other schools in our district are definitely struggling with it because it's new to them, but our kids are used to that. But in terms of activities and such at home, it's definitely, a whiteboard with a calendar, stacking all the things that the kids need to do for school up front, having some activities that are fun that April sort of manages after that, doing one chore every day with them that's new, teaching them life skills. For example, Monday is laundry day, Tuesday they clean the bathroom, Wednesday they dust the house, and they're getting involved in the house, which is really nice and supporting April too. And then Thursday and Friday are more free-for-all in terms of activities. They get to choose, each kid chooses one day which activity they want to sort of take the lead on. And I think that's important too, to sort of use this time to not just be like, hey, do this, but hey, what do you want to do? You get a choice this day, and you get a choice this day, and whatever it is, as long as it's safe and it's easy to do and whatnot, then you get a chance to speak up and sort of do well. And they only do that and have that capability if they did everything else in the front end of the week to make that happen. Cool, I'll take one more question. Question from Aberrant Art. If a person has a few ideas, creations they want to pursue, how would you approach? Do one at a time, a little of them each day? If you're choosing only one, how do you choose? So this is a very relevant question for most people here. Let me know in the chat if you've ever had more than one idea to work on at a time and you find yourself wanting to do all of them at the same time. That's definitely me for sure. But the truth is, if you try to work on all of them at the same time, you're gonna not give any of them a chance to succeed, because each individual idea needs care, time, nurturing, experimentation, and it's hard because you're battling sort of just putting the blinders on and putting everything else aside for one, and then you start to ask yourself, well, which one makes most sense? I think that the approach of taking a whole bunch of ideas, putting them on the wall like spaghetti and seeing what sticks is not the right approach. I think what you want to do, this analogy is not going to work, but you want to take each noodle and look at the noodle and experiment it, do a little taste test, right? Little to see which ones actually give you the best nutrition or the best taste, right? And then you can move forward with that and eat the whole noodle if that works. But you should only eat one noodle at a time, because the flavoring is going to be different. Although noodles, yes, they don't really have flavor. You add the flavor later. So like I said, the analogy wasn't going to work. But hopefully you get what I mean. One at a time. So how do you choose which one is the secondary question. The way to choose which idea is to hypothetically select one and move forward with it through experimentation and research. And also doing some training exercises in your head, some thought experiments to go into the future. Because a lot of times we can easily discount and get rid of ideas if they don't align with who we are or what we want to do. So let's say you have 3 ideas. Take one, travel 1 year in the future, and imagine that was successful, like that one idea was successful. Are you waking up in the morning happy? Is this exactly where you want to be? Is this something that aligns with your goals and your vision? If not, well then, that idea can go away. We can move on to something else. If it does give you good vibes and it's like, wow, that would be amazing if that worked out. Like truthfully looking at it like from a day-to-day standpoint, then you can determine, okay, well, that's still on the plate. Noodle, right? That's still on the plate. Let's go to another one. And then what I would do is use the market map exercises and the things that I teach in Smart from Scratch or Will It Fly to go, okay, I have 3 ideas now that I have, or 2 left over that are possible and fit with where I want to go. Let's actually move to the next step with each of them first to see what the opportunities are, to see what the lay of the land is for each of those different marketing opportunities. And then I can go, okay, well, which one seems to be more exciting? Which one seems to be better? When you do that, now you might go, wow, there's no room for me here. There's way too much competition. There's nothing new for me to bring. Or I go, wow, like after doing the research, I just don't want to be involved with these kinds of people. And this is how people are selling things. And I could either choose to do something different or I'd have to fall into those traps. And I don't really want to do that anymore. So let's move on to that next idea. Or after doing the research, you might find there's some beautiful opportunities and then nothing else matters after that point. But you have to read The One Thing by Gary Keller and Jay Papasan, which really helps you understand that if you divide your energy between all these things, it's going to go nowhere, right? Like imagine arrows pointing in all different directions. You're going to go nowhere if there's equal energy sort of expanding outward from each versus one arrow pointing that way to get to a point where you can at least get to an informed decision as to whether or not that's worth moving forward about. And getting to a decision point. That's what we want. It's the lack of decision making that holds a lot of entrepreneurs back. Let me say that again. It's the lack of entrepreneurship that's holding the entrepreneurs back. Cool. Let's spin again. Dance. Woo! All right, human trick. What are we gonna do? We got, okay, so check this out. I don't know if you can see this. The hands. I don't know if you can see that. It's a snake, right, with eyes. This is becoming very weird. I'm sorry. Okay, another question. Let's get into it. Let's see. Karma says, I'll be at next Flincon either way. Let's all meet up there. That would be awesome. So July 2021, tickets are not on sale yet. We still have to see, obviously, what's going to happen. And I don't know what rules will be in place by then, but I would love to have all of you there at Flincon next year. That would be really amazing. Startup Flame says, love the Lion King shirt. Thank you. Hakuna Matata. There, I said it correctly that time. Can you please tell us about your experience on Teleprompter and any recommendations if you use any? So I've used a teleprompter before, and I use it not for YouTube videos, but I use it definitely for videos that are sort of for courses and sales pages and things like that, but not all the time. There are some challenges when it comes to the teleprompter. You need to buy some teleprompter equipment. Now, there are some really good pieces of equipment out there from a company called ICANN, I-K-A-N, and it involves using your iPad, and then there's like a piece of glass that's sort of angled, and the iPad lays flat, and it reflects the image from the iPad to you, and the camera is just right behind the glass, and the glass does not see the reflection. It's because it's a reflection, and so that's how you look at the camera while reading at the same time. And so the iPad tools from ICANN for teleprompters work really well. I think you can do them with your phone too, but it's a lot smaller and a lot harder to read. There's some also great videos on YouTube about how to make your own DIY iPad teleprompter, by the way, which if you have the materials and have access to that, can work just as well. The challenges, however, is not just the equipment, it's how to create the script to use the teleprompter. So it takes time. And this is also the con and the benefit. The con is, well, it takes time to write the script, and you have to write it in a way where it would make sense for you to speak it. So you have to write like you talk, and that's pretty challenging sometimes. But number two, the benefit is, well, when you get that done, it's like right there, and you just have to read. You don't have to think anymore. However, it's challenging to read a teleprompter and sound natural at the same time. Something that requires learning, it requires patience, and it requires practice. So if you're in a time crunch, it may be a little bit more difficult. You can't rely on a teleprompter for the first time. You got to get it ahead of time, practice. And another big challenge is depending on how far the camera is from you. Obviously, the further away the camera is, the smaller the text will be. You can increase the font size and such, but then you lose more words. So there's a balance, because the further away it is, you might be squinting. But the benefit of having the camera further away is that when you're reading, you don't actually see your eyes move that as much, because there's less angle from word to word. Versus if the camera's up close and you're reading the teleprompter, it could be very easy to see. I don't know if you could see my eyes there. You'd see eyes like, hey everybody, thanks for being here today. Pat Flynn here. Thanks for getting into the course. And it's just like, that doesn't look natural either. So I've found that when there's enough time to scripts and there's enough time to practice, it works out very well, because then you just kind of show up, you film, and there's less editing involved too. You still mess up. And the other challenge is with teleprompters is the speed by which the speed that the words track. There are some tools to help you control that. In fact, there are foot pedals. I don't use the foot pedal, but there's a foot pedal that when you move it, you can slow it down or speed it up, because sometimes you might burn through a couple sentences really quickly, and then you'd kind of have to wait for the rest of it to catch up. In which case, if you have a foot pedal or your hand on like a device of some kind, you can scroll it up. Now, it's been really helpful to have Caleb, who lives in San Diego with me, who's my videographer. He comes in the office with me when I do course filming, not just to record it and have it look really good, but he also helps man the teleprompter to follow along and speed things up if it's seemingly like I'm going a little bit faster than the rate at which the words are popping up on the screen. Great question. Ty Lopez is the reason why I had to install an ad blocker. Those PETA ads are annoying. Yeah. Question, how to come up with topics to talk about in a solo podcast, how to make it interesting and not boring. So those are two different questions, right? How to pick topics, and then how to take that topic and make it interesting. So let's talk about number one first, and thank you for this question. I think it's relevant for podcasts, but for YouTube, for live streaming. So to make it easy, a lot of times topics can be based on, number one, questions that people are asking. Number two, popular topics in the space that you're in. If you're not sure what those topics are, go find other people who are talking about something in the space and see what is popular. What are people talking about? Go into different groups and see where there are the longest comment threads. Go into books and see what the chapters are about to give you some ideas as well. Go into social media to see what people are discussing. These can be really great ways for you to determine what you should be talking about. Now, the best way to do this is to not guess, is just to know. And the way to know would be to set up an autoresponder in your email. For example, one of the first two emails that a person should get should be a question that says, what are you struggling with right now? Or what's your biggest challenge related to blank? Or what topic would you like me to expand on for you? And you just get automated replies back from people as they come across these emails from you with literally what they want you to talk about. So that way, you know you're hitting on the topics that they're interested in. Now, it's a whole nother ball game to take a topic and make it interesting. So how might you make a topic interesting? Well, there's a lot of different ways to do that, obviously. And it's not just about adding background music and adding sound effects, right? Bruh. That's not what makes the show. That's flavoring on top. That's like some spices and herbs to add on top of the show. I think, number one, if it's informational, it's giving them exactly something that will help them move forward into the next step, right? If it's an informational show, something that educates somebody, then that's really important. That's going to be enough for many people. But also adding inspiration in there. So stories, adding stories into your teaching, adding stories into your show, even if it's not necessarily teaching, maybe it's like a review of something. Stories help really, really well. They help you connect with the person on the other end. It helps the other person transport themselves from wherever they're at, listening or watching that thing, into that scenario that you were talking about. Like you were all with me when I was handing out that bracelet to that girl I liked in third grade. And you felt me, right? You got me. It just adds another level of connection and emotion to the story. Adding emotion, having people laugh or cry during a listening or watching session, that's how you know you've won, because you've hit them on that emotional front, and stories do a really good job of that. entertainment. So if you happen to include sort of jokes or interesting moments that are what I like to call pattern interrupts in your content, that can work really well too for keeping people engaged. It's definitely much more needed here on YouTube versus something like a podcast where you have a little bit more time and it's more of a commitment for a person to sort of listen to you, but then they're sticking with you for more of the time, versus YouTube where you have to constantly re-engage with your audience, even with video. So adding some pattern interrupts and maybe some different camera angles, maybe some sound effects like that, like little things like that, again, are sort of flavoring or cherries on top. But I think down to the core, it's the content and the storytelling and the emotion that you bring with that stuff that you're talking about. Okay, let's spin the wheel. I almost forgot we had the wheel. Hey, giveaway. Okay, so what I want to do is select somebody at random here to win a copy of my book, Superfans. And stick around to the end because we're going to do another giveaway, whether we hit it again on the wheel or not, for a microphone, thanks to our sponsor today, which is Buzzsprout. Buzzsprout, thank you so much for sponsoring this live stream, our very first sponsor here for the show, in fact. Buzzsprout is a podcasting host, and they make it so simple to get your show up and running. Their plans are based on the amount of time that you upload, not megabytes, so it doesn't matter if you don't know how to sort of export your files at the largest or smallest size. And secondly, they have this thing called the Magic Mixer, this capability to, when you upload your files to Buzzsprout for your podcast, it'll automatically take that file and make it sound as best as possible. Some auto leveling and normalization that happens without you having to touch anything, which is really cool. It's the first time I've seen that in a host. So thank you, Buzzsprout. If you go to smartpassiveincome.com/Buzzsprout, you'll get 33% more time added to your plan. And stick around to the end because they are giving away a microphone every day here on the stream until May 24th. That includes the weekend. By the way, tomorrow we're going to go a little bit deeper into website reviews or YouTube channel reviews. I might even get a little bit more honed in on, we've been talking a lot about the hooks within our channels and within our videos. I might actually start more videos and commenting on the first 20 seconds to see if you've hooked me in. And we can do a whole session on watching your YouTube videos tomorrow and how well you're hooking me in. And we can do some commentary and come up with some suggestions and ideas for that. Would that be interesting? We haven't done that before. We haven't watched a lot of YouTube videos similar to what we did today earlier in the YouTube channel review. So let me know what you think, if you think that'd be a good idea. Anyway, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to switch to this angle here. I'm going to put on some music. I'm going to scroll through the comments that we see here, and I'm going to select somebody at random to win a signed copy of my book, Superfans. So here we go. So you see the cursor up here. I'm going to keep that there. I'm going to scroll up and down and let go, and we'll see where we end up. All right, Francis, thank you so much. You want a copy of Superfans? Send an email to pat@patflynn.com, Francis, and we'll hook you up with that signed copy of Superfans. And great job. Yeah, thanks for being here. And thanks for we did a review yesterday, I think, of your channel too, which was pretty cool. So thanks again for showing up and being here. Cool. So let's keep going. So pat@patflynn.com, Francis. Would you rather? Cool. Something fun that everybody can participate in. So I'm going to go to either.io. And I'm going to find a kid-friendly version first before I pop it up here. So let's try something clean. Okay. Good one for us to talk about. Would you rather be famous in this lifetime or go down in the history books? Only one or the other, right? Okay, so blue or red? Let me know in the chat which one you would select. And I'm going to talk about these really quick because I think this is interesting, right? And it reminds me of Benjamin Franklin's biography, right? Benjamin Franklin biography, that's obviously a book, and he's in the history books for sure. Also famous during his time, obviously, but much more after. And his biography is like 700 pages long, the Walter Isaacson version. And what's really interesting about that biography is the first like 60 pages out of the 700. He's already 40 years old, y'all. So for people who go, oh, I'm too old, or I haven't really done anything with my life, I'm like, Benjamin Franklin was 40 pages. Everything else that we know him for, everything else that his legacy has provided is within those final 630 pages, right? 660 pages. So, and he's living forever as a result of that. I would rather go down in the history books, to be honest. That's legacy. That's my kids, my grandkids, their kids, knowing that in their family line there was somebody who was influential, and hopefully that would inspire them to help inspire and help others too. Where do I want to leave my legacy? I would love to leave it. Yes, Gray, good point. Gray says, history for something good, of course, LOL. Yes, you could be famous or leave a legacy for good and bad, obviously. My goal would be to go down in history books and have an impact in the world of education. Having people read books about education down the road and go, oh, Pat Flynn, he actually was a business owner who then used that as a launching pad for the way that we do education today, and or teaching kids entrepreneurship or whatnot. Having some foundation and some sort of school that has the Flynn family name on it, or is inspired by that, so that we can keep it going into the future. So I'm going to select red, and we'll see what other people have thought. 1.7 million people have voted on this. Wow. 52% of people want to be famous in this lifetime. And there's a big lesson there, right? Like it just shows, it's pretty even, right? It's pretty even, but it's higher on the famous in this lifetime side. I think it just shows you, and again, we don't know who these people are or where this is getting linked from. It just shows you that people do want recognition, and that is a human sort of innate thing, because recognition, status, that's survival. And that's just a human trait. And I think it's really important that we realize that, well, people want to be recognized today. And I think we can use this in our business in terms of, if you have a platform like a blog or a podcast or a YouTube channel, you have the capability to make somebody feel great and have them feel like they're being appreciated and recognize them on your platform. And that in turn then helps perhaps encourage other students to want to get involved in your course content or your offerings or service. It makes them and others want to become fans of what it is that you do. So although it's very quote unquote vain to want to be famous in this lifetime because we want to be alive when that happens, I understand both points, and I think both are fair. But what we realize here is that people want to be recognized, and you have the platform being online and the capability to do that, right? How cool is that? 52%. Wow. You guys want to do one more? Let's do one more, because that was really interesting. Okay, this one's more of a fun one. Would you rather be forced to watch My Little Pony for 24 hours or have the theme song of My Little Pony stuck in your head for the rest of your life? I'm not going to play it here, but I would probably much rather have the theme song, because if I was watching something for 24 hours, then I wouldn't be able to do anything else. Plus, if I was watching something for 24 hours, I'd probably have the theme song stuck in my head anyway. But at the same time, then it's a popular series, maybe I'll be a brony, and there's a culture there, and I can find friends in that space. I can watch it with other people and still be able to have conversations with them about the episodes, right? Like I'd at least get some story time from watching these things. But 24 hours, y'all, like, no, I think I'm going to go red. No, sorry. Yeah, I'm going to go red. Maybe my thinking was not so these things are always funny, right? Because it's like, if you're with the majority, are you just like being basic? But if you're different, are you like so different than everybody else that you're weird? Not that being weird is bad. You even have to listen to the theme song to know. But at least if I had the theme song in my head, I could still go about the day and I can learn to tune things out, right? Like just because something's in my head doesn't mean, I don't know. Anyway, let's do one more. That was really weird. Okay, finally, a Disney-related one. Would you rather have a Pinocchio nose or have Dumbo ears? Bro, this one's easy, right? This one's easy. Red. I would rather have Dumbo ears. Number one, if I had a Pinocchio nose, everybody would know when I was lying. Not that lying. Anyway, I've lied before. Okay, I'm just letting you know. I'm not always an honest person, but I always try to help others. So sometimes these are white lies. But even if it's a white lie, right, your nose would grow. Plus, it's like wooden, and you'd always like stare at it. The ears, I mean, I could fly, right? If I have Dumbo ears, I could fly, right? And I could use that. It would be these ears would be so big and famous, right? Because Dumbo was famous, that I could put, I could sell advertising space on my ears, right? So I could maybe make money from that because it'd get so much attention, especially when flying and, on camera and whatnot. It's not about making money, but I'm going to pick having Dumbo ears. Yes, okay, I'm with the majority. Not that I was worried, but hey, that's kind of a 50-50 split there, almost. Okay, anyway, let's go. All right, we just literally did more than one, so I'm going to go again. All right, more questions. Yes, Dumbo could fly with them. Pinocchio's nose was useless. Right. Both. Somebody said both. Photoshop that one for me. What's up, Coach Deb? Good to see you here. Indu, great to see you. Some more questions. I like what Make It Blue here said. I want to be a force of change for future generations of disabled kids because it will encourage confidence and acceptance someday. The world will encourage and treat us like everyone else. Man, I love that. Thank you. Do it. Let's see. Question. How do I get my website clients to respond to my requests for things I need to complete their projects? Examples, headshots, product photos, copy, etc. Great. So you help people, but you need stuff from them. And you can't move forward unless you have them sort of understand that, well, they need to help supply you with things, right? So it can be much, I can imagine this could be very painful for you because, well, you can't help them if they're not helping you. The number one easiest way to do this would be deadlines, right? Deadlines with consequences, meaning as part of the contract even, something that they sign and know and expect ahead of time, they will supply X, Y, and Z for you by this date, or else you have to sort of move the timeline back. And when people know that up front, and there's that expectation that you are serious about helping them, so serious that you're putting these things in order so that you can get these things from them, then likely that can be a big driver because there are consequences, right? People don't want to, people hate losing out on things and want to fulfill their things. And this puts it on them, not on you. And if they ever complain, you go, well, you said that you were going to have these things to me by this date. So there's no way that I could possibly sort of done this for you by this time because you weren't able to deliver, right? So that's number one. Number two, and I'm not saying this is the case, Michael, but there could be reasons why this is happening. It just wasn't made so clear, or it's not known, or they're either hard to get. And if they are hard to get, that could be an issue. So it could be, for example, you helping them find easier ways to get those things too. Hey, if you need to provide this, that's great. I understand it might be challenging, but I really need this by this date so I can move forward. Again, always that so that I can move forward, so that I can help you. A little, maybe a video or two, just making it easy for people to get it. What you could also do is you could charge to do it for them, right? So that's a possibility too. I've seen this before where you can, you can get that done, but for an additional service fee, we can actually create these assets for you so you don't have to worry about it. This would in fact potentially give you another revenue stream from those who would rather do it themselves. Or who wouldn't rather do it themselves, or who are just behind. So there are some ideas there that you might be able to use. Hi, Pat. Can you say something about affiliate marketing? Is it saturated for a beginner to make money in 2 to 3 months? No. I think that that's definitely possible. A lot of my students in my affiliate marketing course have already seen results, even having gotten in just recently from implementing a lot of the things. Now, for the ones who have audiences and email lists already, it's a lot easier. But for somebody literally starting from scratch, it's not unheard of to within 2 or 3 months start generating an income. Now, you're not going to replace your full-time income during that time in most cases. It has happened, but that's an anomaly. In most cases, however, if you put in the work now to really understand who it is that you're serving and what they might need help with, there could be some products out there that might serve them. I think that this question might come from a sense of, well, can I just join a affiliate network where there's a bunch of products and sell those products and make money? Yes, definitely possible, but that's the wrong approach. I wouldn't start with, well, what products can I promote first? I would start with the problems and finding an audience that might need help. And very quickly, you're going to understand what products perhaps exist that you could serve them with and perhaps get paid back in return. So it's definitely not saturated, because guess what? People always have needs. There are things that can be made more convenient. There are always new tools coming out. And if you can be the one to recommend and connect that tool and that company to the customer and the person who needs it, well, you can win. And that's always going to be around and never be saturated. It's saturated when you just doing though. Michael says, offering the service for a fee is a great idea. It might even add a little bit more pressure on them to get it down. Thanks, Pat Flynn. You're welcome, Michael. Cool. All right, let's do one more spin, and then we're going to do the giveaway of the microphone from Buzzsprout. Again, smartpassiveincome.com/Buzzsprout. Check them out if you want to get your podcast up and running. Tip of the day. Now, we didn't have a theme here, but I'm going to give you a tip that has been really helpful for me in terms of just staying mentally clear during this time. I know it's quite difficult, and there's struggles, and there's a lot of negative things out there that affect how we behave and what actually we do. The media and the news is difficult sometimes because they put these things in our face and we can't help but think about them. But at the same time, important to understand what's going on because things are changing on a day-by-day level. So what I actually do is I allow myself to understand what's happening out there in the world, but only sort of more toward the end of the day after my work is done. Because oftentimes I find that even one or two little things that sort of just enter my brain just become a thing that can affect the rest of my day. And going into a day knowing what I'm going to be doing and what my purpose is really key. And I focus on getting those things done first before I allow sort of external factors that I perhaps can't even control or would drive me wild to affect my work. I stack that on to the end of the day. And then just allowing for breathing room in space to not do anything but just be present and be grateful for the things that I have access to. And I would recommend that we all practice some sort of gratefulness or meditation, breathing room, just allowing yourself to, because it's especially during these times, it's really easy to have your brain run wild. And that drains energy. It drains energy to think about and to try to understand something that's so hard to understand or wrap our head around, because sometimes we just can't. And sometimes we need some space to reset, to breathe. And meditation is something that I do practice every day for about 7 to 10 minutes. And use the space, use the app Headspace to help you if you need some guidance. And that's what got me started. And then I started using other tools and other things that give me more real-time feedback on meditation. But either way, meditation, I definitely recommend it. And so just want to offer that tip for you to be able to manage yourself. We're 60 days into this now, and it's not seeming like things are going to be coming around anytime soon. So we're gonna have to have some endurance here, and your brain, your mental is gonna have to be stronger than ever during this time. So I just want to share that and encourage you moving forward. Thank you for being here on the Income Stream. I appreciate you. And yeah, let's do the giveaway. Here we go. This is for the Samsung Q2U microphone. Let's make it happen. There's the cursor right up there. I'm gonna scroll up and down, sort of just randomly. And wherever I stop, that's the winner. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Felix. Congratulations, Felix. Send an email to pat@patflynn.com and we'll hook you up with that microphone. pat@patflynn.com. Congratulations, Felix. All right, you're going to hear that song again because we got to close up the proper way. Hey, Team Flynn, you're amazing. Thank you so much. Team Flynn for the win. Show up tomorrow, Pat at patflynn.com/the income stream is where you want to go. We're going to do some hook reviews on YouTube. So going into your, checking out the first 20 seconds and seeing if we've done enough to convince a person to watch all the way through. And we're going to learn a lot along the way. We're going to have some fun. And as always, Team Flynn for the win. Thanks so much. Take care. Be well. Stay safe. And we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
This is the income stream to help you achieve your dream, all while we keep it clean. This is the income stream. It's the kind of show where you can come and go, but then you leave inspired with no fee required. The income stream with Pat Flynn.
Love y'all. Peace out. Stay safe. Enjoy the weekend. Go eat something healthy. We haven't been really doing a good job of that, but yeah, anyway. Had a lot of fun today. Thanks for spinning to win it. Take care.